Good evening, everyone. This is Pineleaf Needles, and welcome to DDO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in DDO. And here at DDO Players, and please welcome everyone, my co-host from Ravenloft, Draculetta.
Hey everybody, how's it going this fine evening?
Well, everything's going fine over here, and I hope everything's fine for everyone else. But let's get into the game news, which the big news this week is that the Treasure of Crystal Cove event is now live, if you want to call that big news.
Yarr, me booty. It's all piratey in case you didn't know. That's why I did that.
Yes. Yarr,
I
me
normally don't
after
talk
my
like pirate.
booty.
Yeah.
Oh, me booty, yes.
Me booty, that's right. Don't touch me booty.
Right, and Turbine has created a guide to the event, though they...
It's really pretty easy to do. You just talk to the guy in the harbor and he takes you there, and then I don't know, it's kind of a weird event. I'll be honest, it's pretty weird.
Weird event, yes. And looks like you go in there, grab something, and turn it in for items.
Yep. Basically, I haven't looked at all of the items. I know there's a lot of like pirate themed items. There's pirate hats, pirate eye patches, and there's also some other items. I didn't spend a lot of time today looking at the items. I need to do that to see if there's any items worth getting and grinding for. But most of the items you need a ton of doubloons, and to get those you just have to like kill mobs that spawn out there, so it's going to be a long grind fest, I think.
Yeah. When I was there, there were just so many people on the ship surrounding the NPCs that I didn't even see Euphonia. So this is the first picture I've seen of her is looking in the guide.
Siri there, yeah, there was, well, I was on earlier today for a little while, and there was probably 40 people around her. So it was crazy, and it was so laggy too. The lag was insane out there, which would make sense when you have that many people in, a little small condensed instance off area.
Right. So it looked like everybody was right on that ship, and very few people were out on the actual cove.
Yeah, when I ran it, I want to say maybe 10 minutes. And I only saw one person actually out doing it. Mostly everybody was on the ship, I guess, trading in their things and getting the rewards, I'm assuming. I can't figure out why everybody else was just standing on that ship.
Right. And yeah, it looks like there are all sorts of weird things on here. And yeah, I got nowhere in there.
The key that I found out too, that for new players, this is a really good tip. If you go out there, the monsters that will spawn, what you do is you basically run to a point and you stand still. And after you stand still for a few seconds, a mob will spawn for you. But you have to be careful. If there's another player out, they'll spawn a mob to you. And the mobs that spawn are relative to your level. So like I was a level 9, so my mobs were like level 9, CR9 and CR10, but the one guy that ran by me was level 20.
Oh, ouch.
And his mobs were CR21 and 22, and I wasn't paying attention, and I clicked on one of them and shot him with my bow, and they basically one-shotted me because I didn't realize it was that high of a CR. So that's something you kind of got to take into consideration once you're out there.
That explains something, because I was there. I ran to a kobold. I don't know whether I had spawned it or if it had already been there. And that one, I was able to hit it down in one or two shots. Then I said, okay, this is easy. Then I went up to somewhere else, and I saw these two mobs there. Now, it's possible I spawned one of them, but the other one was a CR9, so obviously it wasn't spawned by me.
Yeah, I found that out by accident the hard way.
Yeah, so when you're fighting two at once, one of them is a CR9, you can understand that, yes, your life expectancy is not very long. So now I understand how the mobs are spawned right in there. I might have a better chance of surviving if I ever choose to go out there again. It's not exactly the type of event that I find joyous, so I don't know if I'm going to be doing it anymore or not.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't know if I'm going to... I mean, I might pop out there every once in a while just to see what's going on, but yeah, I don't think I'm going to like consciously do it every day to try to grind those doubloons for stuff.
All right, there. Then we'll go into the DDO Chronicle, issue number 114. And they talk about the various items that are going on in here. Any highlights? There's a rather interesting screenshot of the week.
Yeah, I do. I love that. Designer Direct Eberlin, I guess is how you pronounce that. He has a thread in the forums about some upcoming changes to the healing amplification, and they want the devs want some feedback on that.
All right, that would be useful. So I'm not. Today we're talking about healing amplification. Our goal is to adjust it to be additive rather than multiplicative in a way that benefits many players while minimizing the nerf to current players. So therefore, I guess that means that some people use healing amplifications quite a bit or something like that. I haven't played a cleric all that much, and I don't think I've played the main healing line, which I presume is where you get all these healing amplifications from. But so therefore, I would think that the clerics would be the one who are most interested in this.
And then there's another little thing I'd like to spot out too. There's a player by the name of Darkly Dreaming, I'm assuming it's a female, had crafted some owlbear companions out of yarn. If you click on the thing in the Chronicle, you can go to the forum post about it, and they show a picture. They look pretty awesome. I think I want some, because those are just amazing looking.
Owlbear companions. Okay, I've got to see this.
Check out that picture. They are amazing.
Oh, wow. I see that they're leaning back on Elminster books.
Well, of course. Why wouldn't they be?
So we'll now go into the community update.
Which they basically covered everything that was in the community spotlight. They talk about the healing amplification thread. But again, we want to send a big thanks out to Turbine, as they did talk about our last podcast and linked to the YouTube version and also the iTunes link to download it. So thanks Turbine again for the shout out for DDO Players News. We do appreciate it.
The store sales, yes. What's on sale this week?
We have a free sample of the week through October 23rd. You can get some pirate grog.
As if it weren't easy enough to get pirate stuff now.
Use coupon code BOO31, BOO31. You get 1 grog per account. And for new players, if you would like to know what that pirate grog does, drinking the grog while the pirate festival is active will grant a chance to collect doubloons and map pieces when fighting humanoid enemies. If I could talk, it would help. This effect lasts for 1 hour, so it basically just ups your chance of getting the doubloons and map pieces to drop off your kills out during the pirate festival.
All right.
Also,
in other words, if you're not doing the pirate festival, it's not going to matter much.
It's not going to help you. Yeah. Well, you can just drink it and run around and just say "arg" to everybody you see, I guess. Also in the store, 20% off Lesser Hearts of Wood, Quest XP elixirs, healing items, and spell point potions. All 20% off this week in the DDO store. And DJ Pimp Daddy in the chat says that grog adds +1 to your booty, if you know what I mean.
Right. We'll go into site news, and this week we had another adventure from Dwarfin Fizzlebeard, where he went out into the island and toured the various areas and ran a few quests and talked about how big of an idiot certain people are, because who on earth, when they're worried about fish people, makes their stronghold right next to a pool.
I often wondered that, and I'm glad he brought this up.
And he has finally discovered who the Devourer is. The Devourer is a stick.
Oh, I'm loving this series. I really am. It's getting better and better every chapter.
Getting to the point where he's going to be doing the quest that finishes Korthos Island next, I think, and that's going to be really see what he does to that one.
And I can only imagine what he's going to say about some of the quests in the harbor too. I can't wait for when he gets into the harbor.
He's going to have fun with kobolds.
Yes, he will.
It'd be really funny when he gets to the necropolis, seeing that he's a necromancer. We'll now go into news beyond DDO, and the first 5th edition DM guide preview has been unlocked, where getting certain levels for them in Extra Life is going to unlock the viewing of certain items, and the first of these is the Deck of Many Things, a real classic piece of D&D treasure that I remember once seeing as a player, where the DM pops one of these things out and I know some of the players in our group decided to draw a few cards. I think we had to spend a wish in order to get a player back because they got the void, if I remember correctly, and we had to use a wish to get them back. I think it was the only thing that could get them back whatsoever if you went in there.
See, that's why I don't like the deck of many things.
Yeah, because things like that can happen.
It's the whole RNG thing, and we all know how well it likes me. So, yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's the RNG things.
bad things that happen if I would use the deck of many things. I'm sure.
Do cards hate you as much as dice do?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Yeah, my RNG luck just continues over onto everything for some reason.
All right.
The artwork on these cards is amazing. So once again, I give kudos to Wizards of the Coast and their art team. I can't wait to get the whole DM guide just for this picture alone. I'm imagining what the rest of the guide is going to look like. So it is amazing.
Well, might see a couple more little pages from there
And Trevor
if they
Kidd,
unlock any more.
Trevor Kidd from Wizards of the Coast does say that the deck of many things continues onto a third page, but they will save that third one for the Dungeon Master Guide release. So we only get a 2-page preview, and part of it, they have, instead of blacking it out, they made a sword that I want. It's called the +1 sword of none of your business.
Yes, that was interesting how they covered that up. Now, that was the item before the deck of many things.
Yeah.
Now, the deck of many things itself, there are 3. Yeah, they have the first 3 cases described in there, so I presume that the third page is showing the other 19 cards.
Yeah, so
which would be logical.
We'll have to wait, and the next thing to be unlocked, if they hit their goal, is going to be Figurines of Wondrous Power. That's at $30,000. $35,000 is a selection of magic rings. $40,000 is the Eye of Vincina, Hand of Vicina, and the Orb of Dragonkind. $45,000 is Firearms, Explosive, and Alien Technology, which I was curious about the alien technology part. And at $50,000, if they raise that, we will get to see the table of contents.
I don't know. I was pronounced it Vecna instead of Vicina.
It's Vecna. I pronounced it wrong.
Oh, okay.
I realized that after I said it, but I thought, oh, well, I'm just going to go on. But thanks for pointing that out finally.
I'm trying to remember, you ever read a comic strip called Knights at the Dinner Table?
Oh, of course, yes. I love.
Yeah. So the head of Vecna.
Yeah.
Yes. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's a very old legend, especially in Knights at the Dinner Table, about some of the weirdest things you can convince players about in a game. The head of Vecna. And if you know what the Eye of Vecna does and the Hand of Vecna do, you can imagine what the head of Vecna would be like.
Do yourself a favor and Google Knights of the Dinner Table.
Right. And its most classic strip still has to be the very first one.
Yep.
The Lair of the Gazebo.
That's why I'm terrified of gazebos to this day.
Actually, I was once in a group where we were put into a sort of a Wonderland type of environment, and yes, we were attacked by a gazebo.
That's awesome.
If I remember correctly, it was an animated construct.
Well, naturally. I mean, that would only make sense.
Yes. All right, so now let's go to our week in DDO, and I suspect we didn't run into any gazebos in game.
Not to my knowledge. I'm sure there's one somewhere that we haven't found, though.
Yes. All right, how'd you do this week?
I took my level 9 rogue through continuing on, and I'm out in the Red Fangs. I'm doing the Explorer out there. I'm 5 of 12. Slayer, I'm 151 of 7,500. That's right. You heard me correct. I said 7,500. I don't think I'm going to ever finish that highest tier of that. I don't think even the experience is going to be worth killing 7,500 things out there. But we'll see. While I was out there, I did run a quest called Fathom the Depths, which was kind of an interesting quest. It was pretty challenging, and I did manage to finish it. I died a couple times, but luckily I had my hireling with me, and we were close enough to one of the res points to where I could have him pick my stone up and run my stone back. So, interesting little quest. I also was looking at my quest log and I noticed I had some quest out in Atarax Haven, which I have no idea what that was. So I popped out there and started doing some Slayer deeds out there. 100 of 1500 is where I'm sitting on that. I'm 0 of 10 on my rares, and I'm 4 of 16 on my explorers. I'm noticing the higher my level gets, the more and more Slayers you have to compete. So
And I haven't even completed most of those low ones. You can imagine me trying for the go for the high ones.
yeah, I'm still just like 7,500. Are you serious?
Right, and we thought that the deed rates in Lotro were high.
And the only other thing I did, my Ranger Rogue is sitting at level 7. Pineleaf, you and I on Wednesday did the Litany of the Dead Part 1. We were still finishing off those. We did the last 2 tombs that we had to do to unlock the final dungeon. We ran the Tomb of the Crimson Heart and the Tomb of the Sanguine Heart. And that is pretty much what I did, other than, like I said today, I did pop out into the Pirate Festival for a little bit. Didn't really do much with that. Just wanted to see what was going on with that. So what else did you do other than the Litany of the Dead that we ran? The last
Right.
two tombs that we needed.
Yes, that was the Litany of the Dead parts were with my 7th level Artificer. I also created a new character. Inspired by a letter from last week, I decided to create a permadeath character to see how long I can go. And I decided to choose my class based on a roll from a D12. Since I have 12 classes unlocked, the only class I don't have unlocked is the Favored Soul. So therefore I rolled a D12, and however that came out, that selected my class. I rolled a 2, which meant Barbarian. I'm going at the order in which they appear on the character selection. So therefore I tried a Barbarian, and this is the first time I think I've ever played a Barbarian. And I went through the Korthos Island and ran the Smuggler's Gems quest. And then I decided to jump in and see just an hour before the show to see about this Crystal Cove event. So I went out there and ran into that crazy CR9 hobgoblin or whatever it was in there that smashed me to complete pieces. So therefore, I had the beginning and during the last week, and I had the end of this character during this last week. So I rolled a d12 just before this episode started so I could tell you what character class I'll be doing next. And my next permadeath character is going to be a paladin.
That is brave of you to do a paladin permadeath.
Why do you say that?
Well, I guess it's not any worse than your barbarian.
At least I have more on healing.
Well, see, that's true. So how are you liking the barbarian? Because I know you had said you had never ran one before.
I never ran one before. It seems to be working better than I had expected in that I didn't have too much trouble getting to the mobs, because that one of my big problems with characters is wondering, am I going to be able to reach the mobs? How long am I going to reach is what it comes down to, because I don't, in melee classes, chasing after mobs is just a pain. I have a pain with that in Lotro. That's why I find the burglar and captain there to be relatively frustrating, is because they don't have ranged weapons. Now, I know with the barbarian, I did have a bow, but let's face it, barbarians do a lot more damage with axes than they do with bows. So I spent most of my time using my bow and my axe, and I only brought out the bow when I had someone that had to be fought at range.
I really need to create a melee character to try, because I've always done, I guess you can kind of say I'm melee with my rogue, because I do usually use daggers and long swords some of the times, but mainly I am just ranged though. So I've never really done a pure melee character, which I really should do that just to see what it's like. I'm not a big melee person though. I've just always preferred bow.
That's why my favorite tank class in Lotro is the Warden, who I know that is mainly a melee character class, but they also have Javelin, so I have that to fall back on. So I don't think I'm as pure melee as you are, but I'm still, as pure ranged as you are, but I still have tried to get a foot into range no matter what I do. And that carries over quite a bit into my DDO play. There are still some things I still need to learn about the systems. Only this week, where I finally learned how you set up auto attack, and I still haven't taken advantage of it, but I mean, I've been playing DDO for all these years, and I didn't know that you could set up auto attack. I assumed it was impossible.
I have never used it.
Yeah, I know. It does. I don't think it's as obviously useful as it is in Lotro. I guess I'll find out at some point. Maybe I'll try at some point, but I think I usually find myself just swinging my axe manually anyway.
Yeah, and I think I know I've read on the forums, a lot of people are saying the auto attack is a lot slower than your manual attack.
Ah, all right. That
So that will probably tell you why a lot of people I probably do not use the auto that much, because I guess it is way, way slower than doing it manually.
Yeah, I that might explain it. Because I thought it wasn't. I was wondering if it wasn't working or something like this, or if I was pressing the wrong button. That it could be that it was just so slow I didn't realize it was working. So let's go into donations. This week we did not receive any donations, but we would love your support. You can help DDO players by simply going to the donations page, where you can help support the podcast, the DDO players, and also help support the site. We have $5 mentions where you can donate $5 or more and get a mention on the DDO Players News. Though if you would prefer, this week is the Child's Play week, and Drac and I are participating in the Lotro Players group for Child's Play. Not Child's Play, Extra Life. I'm getting my charities mixed up there. Yeah, Extra Life. And I'll be participating in the Extra Life playthrough this weekend to help raise money for them. And if you'd like to donate to Extra Life with the Lotro Players group, you could go to do we have a link at DDO Players or only at Lotro Players?
We have it at DDO Players too. It's
Okay.
right on the side.
All right, then you could click on the site and you'll be able to jump over there
And then you just click
donate.
on roster, and then you can pick any one of us to donate to, and we would appreciate it.
And we would appreciate it. So if you're wondering whether or not to donate to us or donate to Extra Life, this week we're asking you to donate to Extra Life. And so far we have $825 out of 3,000. Actually, is that I thought it was 815 or 820, so.
825 last time I looked, but give me 1 second.
Oh, it is 820. Okay, it's still 825 right now. All right.
Yeah,
No,
I was going to say, it was 825 when I looked. I haven't looked today, but.
All right. Yes, but you've got 4 donations, so you're doing well there.
Amazing.
So
yes, I am. And thank you.
Yes, apparently people are liking vampires more than leaves. All right, so we'll head on to our feedback. We have no iTunes reviews, but if you'd like to give us a review, you could go over to iTunes and give us one. We would just love your support. But we do have one featured comment, and that is from McQuiggan, who left a comment on DDO's Players News Episode 3, Death by Beholder. Hey guys, thank you for a great podcast. You guys got me hooked on DDO. I've listened to all 3 and all have been helpful. The last being the most helpful. I am a new player and the questions that were posed and the answers given help to get some of this new game down. One question I do have is about TP earn. Like in Lotro, can you earn it or is it strictly purchased? And the answer to that is that there's a way to earn it, and it has to do with completing quests. Could you elaborate on that?
I sure can. In DDO, you get turbine points by earning favor. Each quest you do is done for a specific patron. You can look and see which quest does what patron, and you get favor with that specific patron when you finish a quest. The first time you earn 100 favor on any one server, you will get 25 turbine points. The first time you get 50 favor, you earn another 25 turbine points, and it goes up from there. I will put a link in the show notes to the DDO wiki page that kind of explains it, and it breaks it down more, and it tells you exactly at what point in your favor that you'll gain turbine points. What most people do is they create characters on other servers just to grind turbine points. They don't. I wish DDO was like Lotro in that aspect. In Lotro, you gain turbine points in a lot of different ways. DDO is not the case, unfortunately, and I'm not sure why Turbine did that per se. The only thing I can think of is DDO did go free to play first, so maybe they learned. I guess I'm gonna say their mistake, and they changed it in Lotro.
Well, I think they changed it in Lotro because the system they had in DDO wouldn't work in Lotro at all.
Well, you could. I mean, in Lotro, they could do it to where you would get it for your kindred status. That would be the only way you could do it. Or when you make acquaintance, you would get to run points, or which you kind of do now. But I don't understand why, like in DDO, they already have the Slayer deeds out in the wilderness. So why don't you get to run points when you create or finish stages of those?
Yeah, that would be nice.
It never made sense that the only way you get it is by favor.
Now, note concerning favor is you only get favor for a quest the first time you complete a quest of that tier with that character. So, for example, if you run a quest let's see, I'm trying to think of a good quest. The quest that's okay, I did the Smuggler Gems ones, for example. If you do it at normal, the first time you do it at normal, you would get a third of the favor that you can get for there. So therefore, you'll get, let's say it's worth 2 per tier on that. You could get 2 points for that. Then if you do it at epic level, you would get 6 points. So if you do it at normal first, you get 2. Then if you did it at epic, you'll get 4 more favor because the total is 6 and be 6 minus 2.
Yeah,
it gets complicated.
Yeah. I said I'll link to the DDO wiki.
Yeah,
that kind of explains it because it's kind of a convoluted, complicated thing to earn it, but you can earn it in game, just not as easy as Lotro. And it sounds like he's coming from Lotro, so that's going to be a little bit different for him.
Right.
But welcome to DDO, though.
Welcome to DDO. And another question I have been trying to figure out is what server are you guys on?
We play on Caneth.
Right. We do most of our stuff on Caneth. I do permadeath on Sarlona, but most of my characters are on Caneth right now. And he finishes off with, I would love to do some questing with you guys. Your friend McQuiggan Baruch Kazad, which is a Lotro thing as opposed to DDO. Because I don't think any dwarves yell Baruch Kazad in DDO.
Haven't heard one yet, but you never know.
And anyway, you notice that in DDO you have the female dwarves don't have beards, so... Actually, in first edition, they did.
I was trying to think. It seems like I remember D&D female dwarves having beards, but
they had them in first edition.
It was first.
In third edition, they very definitely did not. And since Lotro and DDO is based on third edition, that's why they don't have beards. Now, you can contact us by emailing us at podcast@ddoplayers.com, and you can also follow us at Twitter. You go to the Players Alliance at Players Ally, DDO Players at DDO Players, Draculetta at Draculetta_72, and Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles. The Players Alliance has 2 live shows every week on Mondays at 8:30 p.m. United States Eastern Time. We broadcast DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we broadcast Lotro Players News. And you can join us for our live shows at ddoplayers.com/live, and thank you all for listening. That's all for tonight, and this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to loot those treasure chests.